A 9-year-old girl vanished from a school fair in 2015. In a crowd of hundreds, she was simply gone. 4 years later, a janitor cuts open an old gym locker and finds her backpack, and a used zip tie stained with her blood. But the real twist? The DNA doesn't match a stranger. It links back to a trusted teacher's own missing brother who'd slipped through the cracks. What follows is a chilling unraveling of secrets, sealed doors, and a legacy of silence finally shattered. The truth is here, and justice came too late, too. On a warm Friday evening in late May 2015, the air over Elmhurst, Indiana was thick with fried sugar and distant thunder. The annual Willow Creek Elementary School Spring Fair had drawn hundreds of families to the tree-lined campus just 3 miles east of Route 16. Children ran between booths clutching glow sticks and cotton candy. Somewhere near the inflatable obstacle course, 9-year-old Mia Caldwell stood in line for funnel cake at 7:42 p.m. And by 7:46, she was gone. The temperature was 82 degrees with high humidity. Sunset was officially 8:53 p.m. Witnesses recalled that a storm warning had gone out an hour earlier, but few took it seriously. It was supposed to skirt north. Instead, it would become a timeline anchor no one could forget. Mia had last been seen by her older cousin Tara, age 13, who left the line briefly to chase down a spilled lemonade. "I wasn't even gone 2 minutes," she said later. "She was right there, I swear. Right there." At 7:48 p.m., the first emergency call was placed by Tara's mother, Mia's aunt, from her cell phone. She had searched the fairgrounds herself before dialing. Transcript: 911 call, 7:48 p.m., May 22, 2015. Dispatcher: 911, what's your emergency? Caller: Hi, we're at Willow Creek Elementary, the school fair, and my niece, she was just here. She's 9, she's gone. Dispatcher: Gone from where exactly? Caller: The funnel cake line. She was right next to the bounce house. We've looked everywhere. Her name is Mia Caldwell. Dispatcher: Okay, I'm sending officers now. What is she wearing? Caller: Pink tank top, jean shorts, blue sneakers with stars on them. Please, she's tiny, just little. Dispatcher: We have your GPS as 38.1176 latitude, 87.5349 longitude. Stay where you are. Help is coming. Caller: Oh my God, please hurry, please. The first patrol car arrived at 7:54 p.m. By then, several parents had already begun canvassing the fairgrounds. Deputy Harold Klein later described the atmosphere as orderly panic. People still playing ring toss while searchers ran past them shouting her name. At 8:03 p.m., the school was put into soft lockdown. Bathrooms and storage rooms were checked. All exits from the parking area were manned. The main gym was cleared. By 8:12, the PA system blared a general announcement. A child is missing. Mia Caldwell. Please remain calm and alert. Inside the custodian's office, near the back of the gym building, Janitor Curtis Malone checked his schedule. No one had been assigned to locker storage duty for the fair, he later said. The old gym lockers, those weren't even supposed to be open. That would matter later. By 8:27 p.m., a drone equipped with thermal imaging, borrowed from the county fire department, had been launched. But heat signatures were distorted by crowd density and residual sun warmth from the pavement. Nothing conclusive. Every 15 minutes, another ripple of volunteers joined the sweep. At 8:45, an officer climbed the Ferris wheel for a better vantage point. At 8:57, the storm finally hit. Gusts knocked over booths and soaked paper signs. Flashlight beams scattered as umbrellas blew sideways. By 9:20, the fair was shut down entirely. Officers used bullhorns to direct families toward the parking lot, stopping every third car for questioning. Mia's parents arrived minutes later from their dinner out across town, faces pale and tight. "She's never done anything like this," her mother said that night. "She's scared of the dark. She wouldn't run off." But by 10:15 p.m., no one could say where Mia had gone, or how. There were no witnesses who saw her leave the line. No scream, no dragging motion, no suspicious figure caught on cell phone videos. Even the camera at the bounce house was out of focus due to condensation from the deep fryer station beside it. Deputy Klein's body cam picked up a comment as he walked the east perimeter. It's like she was lifted out of the crowd. By 11:40 p.m., the school was officially designated as an active investigation site. The backpack Mia had left in her cousin's car, still holding her library books and a crushed juice box, was taken in as evidence. The family SUV was searched out of protocol. Nothing. What stayed with many who were there that night wasn't the sirens or the shouting. It was the sound that wasn't there. The absence of panic from the child herself. No scream, no struggle. Just vanished. By sunrise the next morning, she was on every screen in the Tri-County area. Cliffhanger. At 6:11 a.m., a K-9 unit locked onto a scent trail that led straight to the edge of the school's closed auxiliary gym and stopped cold at the door with the rusted padlock. The first 48 hours in any child abduction case are statistically the most critical. For Mia Caldwell, they began with a scent and ended in silence. At 6:11 a.m. on May 23rd, less than 11 hours after her disappearance, a bloodhound named Ember, trained for scent discrimination, locked onto Mia's odor from a hairbrush provided by her mother. Ember tracked the scent through the soggy mulch near the bounce house and down a concrete walkway that led to the auxiliary gym, a building unused since 2011 due to roof damage. The gym had been repurposed as long-term storage, its main entrance secured by a rusted steel padlock. The dog scratched at the door, whimpered once, and sat. By 6:25 a.m., 2 officers and a locksmith were on site. The padlock wasn't cut. Not yet. Chain was intact, the report read. No signs of tampering, no prints. The team logged the location and moved on. That was the first clue lost. At 7:12 a.m., State Trooper Wesley Hall arrived with a heat-sensing drone capable of detecting body signatures through low-density walls. The FLIR View Pro R640, mounted on a quadcopter, scanned the auxiliary building's roofline. No movement, no trace of heat. It was already too late. The building had cooled overnight in the storm. Hall's thermal report was flagged but deprioritized. Mia's face was now everywhere. 9 years old, strawberry blonde hair in 2 braids, last seen in a pink tank top and blue star sneakers. Her missing persons bulletin went live at 8:08 a.m., confirmed by both state and federal systems. By mid-morning, a full command post had been set up in the school library. Maps lined the walls, tagged with colored pins. Red for confirmed sightings, blue for scent hits, yellow for areas cleared. There were no red pins. Helicopters were dispatched to scan the surrounding fields. Search grids expanded outward in concentric half-mile rings, covering 9.2 square miles by noon. Volunteers arrived in droves, friends, teachers, retirees, some armed with walkie-talkies, others with metal detectors or hope. Deputy Klein coordinated the first organized sweep of the adjacent woods. "We looked under every overturned canoe, in every storm drain," he recalled. "You start imagining things, thinking maybe she fell. Maybe she got scared and hid. But Mia's parents insisted she wouldn't hide. Not if people were calling her name," her mother said. "She would have come out." A tick past noon. Nothing. Microcliff number 1. At 12:17 p.m., a playground monitor named Sandra Dales reported hearing a scream, just one, near the Southfield fence around 8 p.m. the previous night. She hadn't reported it before. "I thought it was part of the fair." By 1:30 p.m., FBI Child Abduction Rapid Deployment, CARD agents were en route from Chicago. They'd need to assess the digital angle, school Wi-Fi logs, parent cell pings, vendor credit card machines. Meanwhile, local officers examined the school's security camera feeds. The last clear shot of Mia was time-stamped 7:39:28 p.m., standing beside a cotton candy booth, laughing. Microcliff number 2. At 2:03 p.m., a volunteer with the drone team claimed to see something metallic behind the gym in real-time video. When searched, it turned out to be a sun-bleached hula hoop, a false lead. Heat was rising again, 87 degrees, humidity climbing. One of the searchers collapsed from dehydration near the creek bed. At 4:15 p.m., a teacher remembered seeing Mia near the science booth, where volunteers handed out glow-in-the-dark slime and magnifying glasses. The teacher gave a name, Mr. Linwood. He was helping load boxes. I think Mia liked him. She called him Mr. L. Micro Cliff, number 3. Linwood was on the volunteer list, but had left early, signing out at 7:30 p.m. That placed him before Mia's last known moment. It was noted, but not flagged. As night fell, the school was lit by generator towers. All drains had been searched, all rooftops cleared, but the locker door, the one with the rusted padlock, remained sealed. The scent trail ended there. The air was thinning with dread. Mia's father made a brief appearance before the cameras. "We just want her back," he said, voice shaking. "Someone knows something. Please." Call to action. Number 1. Comment. Hope. If you'd search until your last breath. Cliffhanger. At 11:03 p.m., a retired firefighter on the east perimeter called in a find. A single zip tie, used and cinched, beneath the bleachers, buried in mud. By sunrise on May 24th, the search had shifted from retrieval to containment. The zip tie recovered the night before, knotted tightly and buried in the sludge beneath the visitor side bleachers, was sent to the county forensics lab by 7:41 a.m. It was a standard 8-inch black nylon tie, the kind sold in 100-count packs at hardware stores. But this one bore a single chilling detail, a short, frayed blonde hair caught beneath the locking head. The search perimeter expanded. Helicopters returned, this time equipped with Flyer Ultra 640 thermal scopes and Kongsberg EM 2040 side-scan sonar rigs for the adjacent quarry lake. Dive teams were placed on 24-hour standby. Meanwhile, volunteers with bloodhounds were repositioned to the newly marked southeast zone, a patch of low grass and culverts behind the sports fields. Mia's scent had evaporated completely. The fairgrounds themselves had emptied, leaving only soaked tarps, spilled powdered sugar, and discarded wristbands. By mid-morning, the site was technically a crime scene, but still, it was volunteers who uncovered the next clue. Micro Cliff number 1. At 10:09 a.m., a woman named Erin Delaney, who had taught 5th grade at Willow Creek a decade earlier, noticed a boot scuff mark against the back wall of the auxiliary gym. "Not fresh, but recent," she told investigators. "It wasn't there on Friday. I remember that wall." Behind the building, footprints were visible in the mud. Not just one set, but 2. One larger, one smaller. The smaller ones stopped short about 3 feet from the back door. The larger ones returned alone. FBI agents measured the treads and determined the larger print matched a size 11 men's Skechers, a rare wide-fit model, NAR SK5942BLK, manufactured in 2013. Only 89 pairs had been sold in the region that year. A list was requested from local retailers. Micro Cliff NAR 2. Inside the school's IT hub, a digital analyst reviewing Wi-Fi activity discovered that Mia's school-issued iPad, which had remained in her classroom locker, had been pinged via Bluetooth at 7:47 p.m. the night of her disappearance. The signal had lasted only 18 seconds. The source of the ping was unknown. At 12:13 p.m., a press release was issued to all local and regional media outlets. The Sheriff's Department confirmed an active missing child investigation with federal support. Mia's photo was included, along with a tip line, 1-800-622-MISS. TV crews were on site by 2 p.m. One station aired live drone footage showing the slow, methodical grid search unfolding across soccer fields and gravel lots. The broadcast cut to an anchor as the camera panned toward the school rooftop, a chilling image of how close and yet how distant the answer might be. That night, a local news segment aired with a 10-second clip that gripped the town. News report transcript, WCHT Channel 6, 6:45 p.m. Anchor, VO. This blurry cell phone video shows Mia Caldwell laughing with other kids just before she disappeared Friday evening. Taken by a parent filming the dunk tank, Mia is visible in the background, just for a moment, turning her head as if someone called her name. Then she walks out of frame. She is not seen again. Investigators isolated the clip. Frame-by-frame analysis showed her head turning toward the direction of the auxiliary gym. Microcliff number 3. That same clip, when enhanced, revealed something else. A man in a red volunteer shirt walking just 15 feet behind Mia. no face visible. But one detail stood out. A plastic science fair badge lanyard hung from his neck. It read, Mr. L. Authorities quietly placed a hold on yearbook records and staff logs from the last 5 years. Back at the lab, DNA from the zip tie was processed through CODIS, the Combined DNA Index System. It yielded no direct match, but mitochondrial markers indicated a male with Northern European ancestry, between 30-50 years old. The partial profile was logged as sample A4723MC. Volunteers continued searching until dusk. Local teens gathered with flashlights, walking the dry creek bed in rows. Someone had brought a drone with floodlights. Another brought a loudspeaker, playing Mia's favorite pop song in case she could hear it. She didn't respond. By 10:40 p.m., rain had returned, light but steady. One deputy stood at the edge of the property, staring at the locked auxiliary gym door. "It's the only building we haven't gone into," he said. The padlock still held. By the time Monday morning arrived, Elmhurst had transformed from a quiet suburban town to a swarm of flashing lights, media vans, and whispered theories. Search efforts entered their 3rd day. Hope remained, but so did something else. Doubt. At 6:42 a.m. on May 25th, hazmat-suited officers inspected the auxiliary gym's southeast crawlspace vent. The retired engineer had been right. Something was off. A noxious smell, faint but undeniable. Initial field testing showed trace amounts of chlorobenzene, a chemical commonly found in cleaning products but also used in paint strippers. There were no legitimate uses for it inside the sealed gym. Still, the interior remained untouched. Without a warrant or probable cause, the chain on the padlock would stay in place another day. Meanwhile, the false leads had begun to multiply. Microcliff number 1. At 9:13 a.m., dispatch received a call from a man claiming to have seen Mia boarding a Greyhound bus in Louisville, Kentucky, 139 miles away. CCTV footage proved the child was not Mia. False ID. Microcliff number 2. By 11:22 a.m., a local woman contacted authorities claiming she recognized Mia's description in a parking lot the day before. Her story was inconsistent. She first said she saw Mia with a tall man, then later changed her story to a woman with dyed red hair. Officers quickly discredited her. She had a history of inserting herself into missing person investigations. The noise was growing louder. To the public, Mia's face had become ever-present. Amber alerts, social media campaigns, car magnets, missing posters at every rest stop. One tweet, a black and white photo captioned, "Find her before she's forgotten," had surpassed 300,000 shares. But behind the scenes, the case was wobbling. In the command post, Detective Alina Rourke reviewed a growing file on Mr. L, the volunteer science teacher seen trailing Mia in the dunk tank video. His name was Greg Linwood, 41, a tenured middle school science teacher who had once taught Mia's older cousin in an after-school robotics program. Linwood had no criminal record, no prior complaints, but he had volunteered at Willow Creek events 3 times that school year, including the spring fair. Rourke and 2 federal agents paid him a visit at 3:46 p.m. Interview excerpt, Linwood residence, May 25th. Rourke: Mr. Linwood, you were present at the spring fair on Friday? Linwood: Yes, I was breaking down the slime booth. Left around 7:30, I think. Agent Danner: Anyone confirm that? Linwood: Sure, I signed out. Check the clipboard. Rourke: Do you know Mia Caldwell? Linwood: The name sounds familiar. I might have seen her there. Danner: We have footage of you behind her moments before she disappeared. Linwood: What? No, that's not possible. I left early. His hands shook. He asked for a lawyer. The interview ended. That night, Linwood's house was placed under surveillance. A warrant was in process, but nothing actionable yet. His car, a 2009 silver Honda Accord, had been parked at the school, as his sign-out log confirmed. No witnesses had seen him re-enter the building. Microcliff number 3. At 6:03 p.m., a former student of Linwood's messaged a local reporter anonymously. She claimed Linwood had once gotten weird during a science fair in 2012, complimenting her hair, asking for photos of her project alone. No police report had ever been filed. It was enough to tip the balance of public opinion. The next morning, reporters ambushed Linwood outside his home. "Did you take Mia?" One shouted. "What's in the locker?" Another yelled. Linwood said nothing, just got in his car and drove off. Meanwhile, back at Willow Creek, investigators returned to the auxiliary gym. A second scent-tracking dog, a Dutch shepherd named Branko, was brought in. He reacted the same way Ember had. A scratch at the door, a pause, and a sit. Twice. Still, the lock held. It was 6:07 a.m., May 26, 2015, when the bolt cutters sliced through the rusted padlock on locker number 23. The auxiliary gym had sat sealed and silent for years, used only for overflow storage. But now, surrounded by federal agents and deputies in full forensic gear, it became the center of everything. Inside, a small canvas backpack, pink and gray, crusted with dried stains, a single blue sneaker, left foot, size 3. Tucked beneath it, a used zip tie, no body, no Mia. Oh, just a still life of sudden absence. The backpack held a folded school fairground map, a half-used glow stick, a library slip dated May 19, 2015, and a cracked green plastic frog keychain, later confirmed by Mia's mother. On the inside lining of the bag, in faded marker, one word: stay. Microcliff number 1. Lab results from Quantico came back by evening. Blood in the bag. Human, type O, Mia's type. DNA from the zip tie matched the prior sample from the one under the bleachers. Same male donor. But now, a second DNA profile. Mia's. Proof she'd been in that locker. Investigators informed the family. Her father collapsed in the hallway. As news broke, public anger sharpened. Reporters staked out the home of Greg Linwood, the science teacher who had signed out just before Mia vanished. His name had now come up in 3 places: video footage, the volunteer list, and an old locker maintenance log signed only LW Microcliff Nar 2. In that log, dated 2012, locker number 23 was marked jammed, replaced padlock. The signature wasn't full, but Linwood's middle name? Walter. No charges filed, but the suspicion spread. At sunset, candles lined the school fence. Children left drawings. A teacher whispered to a reporter, "That locker, it was always cold. Always." Then came the tip. 10:14 p.m. A voice on the hotline. "Check room 117. He left the keychain. And something else. Use gloves." Call to action. Number 2. If you believe silence protects the guilty, comment, "Tell us. Someone knows." Cliffhanger. A cleaning lady at a highway motel, 3 counties away, had found a broken green frog on the floor. Room 117 of the Eastgate Motor Lodge sat just off Highway 231, 2 hours south of Elmhurst. The call came at 2:19 a.m., May 27th. A night clerk, watching the news on mute, recognized the green frog keychain now etched into national memory. His housekeeper had just found one identical on the motel floor. By 4:05 a.m., detectives were on site. The room was still warm. Whoever had stayed there checked out only hours earlier. Registered name, Brian Cole, no ID, paid in cash. Security footage showed a white male, hoodie up, face obscured, ball cap low. No child seen, no vehicle identified. He'd arrived on foot. Inside room 117, a crumpled snack wrapper. A gas receipt from a station in Vincennes, time-stamped May 25th, 9:17 p.m. A torn notepad page reading, "Locker was never locked," and the frog. Microcliff number 1. The plastic frog was old, cracked down the middle, a perfect match to the keychain Mia's mother confirmed as hers 2 days earlier. It bore partial fingerprints. Too smudged for a full match, but DNA swabbed from the groove returned 2 profiles, one partial male match, same as the zip tie, and one belonging to Mia Caldwell. This made it the 3rd object linking her to an adult male whose identity remained just out of reach. Forensics found no blood in the room, no hairs, no fibers. The place had been wiped. But tucked inside the motel desk drawer was a folded event badge from the Willow Creek Spring Fair. It was sun-faded, water-damaged. Name, Greg Linwood. Again, him. Microcliff number 2. Linwood claimed he had lost the badge earlier that day during interviews, but phone records placed him in Elmhurst at the time this one disappeared. Still, no physical evidence placed him in the motel. just implication. At 10:22 a.m., detectives confronted him. Excerpt, Linwood interview, number 3, May 27th. Rourke: Why was your badge in room 117? Linwood: I told you I don't know. I lost it that night. Danner: You've now been linked to a locker, a keychain, and a room registered under a false name. You sure you don't remember anything? Linwood: You think I'd keep her in a locker? He stared, silent, then finally muttered, I didn't take her, but someone used my name. He didn't explain further. Cliffhanger. At 3:03 p.m., a motel employee turned over an item found behind the mini fridge, a scratched USB drive marked 2013 Robotics. The USB drive was small, black plastic, scratched along the edge, labeled in faded silver marker, 2013 Robotics. It had been wedged behind the mini fridge in room 117, likely dropped or discarded in haste. Detectives sealed it in evidence and rushed it to the State Digital Forensics Lab in Bloomington. Chain of custody was tight. The contents might shift everything. The drive held 38 files. Most were what they claimed to be. Archived lesson plans, photos from a middle school robotics tournament, a few syllabus PDFs. But buried in a folder titled Spare Pics were 6 photos out of place. 1. A school hallway, taken from floor level. 2. A close-up of a pink sneaker, partially cropped. 3. A photo of Mia, laughing, looking over her shoulder. 4. A blurry shot of the auxiliary gym exterior. 5. A second, clearer image of locker number 23. 6. And one final photo, a zip tie, curled into a figure 8, resting on a concrete floor. Each photo was time-stamped May 21st, 2015, the day before Mia vanished. Microcliff number 1. Metadata from the files traced the original device back to a Canon PowerShot A590, a discontinued model. Only one staff member at Willow Creek was known to still use one, Greg Linwood, who had photographed the school science fair with it annually since 2011. The location data embedded in the locker photo matched GPS coordinates for the auxiliary gym, 38.117632, 87.534937, exact. Linwood was brought in again. He refused to speak. His lawyer filed a formal motion to cease all voluntary interviews. With the USB drive in evidence, investigators secured a warrant to seize Linwood's work laptop and home PC. Both were wiped clean, reformatted within the past 72 hours. A digital forensic specialist flagged it immediately. That kind of wipe isn't accidental. It's cover-up behavior. But Linwood wasn't the only lead. Microcliff number 2, a 7th photo, deeply corrupted, was partially recovered from the USB. The visible edge showed what appeared to be a glove, blue nitrile, holding a small flashlight over floor tiles, and something faintly red near the edge of the frame. Blood? Tape? It wasn't clear. File name, 23 BTM JPG. The discovery reignited public rage. That night, Mile Locker 23 trended nationwide. Dozens of parents rallied at the Elmhurst courthouse. One sign read, "She was right there. We walked past her." At Willow Creek, an emergency school board meeting was held behind closed doors. One item on the agenda: who had authorized access to the auxiliary gym in 2015, and why wasn't it fully sealed? Only 3 names were on the log. Linwood's was one of them. Cliffhanger. At 11:56 p.m., investigators ran the partial male DNA profile through a YSTR familial match filter and got a hit. Not Greg Linwood, but his younger brother, Brian Linwood, last known address. Shut down 5 years earlier, just 4 miles from Willow Creek. On the morning of May 28, 2015, federal agents located a property deed once registered to Brian Linwood, age 36, younger brother of Greg. The home had been condemned in 2010, but records showed he'd never submitted a forwarding address. No active utilities, no digital trail, just a vacancy and a neighbor's note from years ago. The younger one came back sometimes, quiet, used the back lot. Had a boat. The backyard sloped down into dense trees, where a shallow access road led to an isolated lake. Burnt cedar quarry, a man-made basin 48 feet deep. It had long been abandoned by the county, its signage rusted and ignored. No cameras, no rangers, just water. At 2:12 p.m., the FBI authorized a full dive operation. 2 teams deployed, supported by an ROV, remotely operated vehicle, fitted with side-scan sonar Kongsberg EM2040 and GoPro Hero 7 Black for onboard logging. Water temperature 59 degrees. Visibility 8 feet. Depth variable, max 46.9 feet at the center. ROV log entry 02, May 28, 4:44 p.m. Current slow, south drift, murky lower shelf. Detected metallic glint beneath sediment at grid B4. Looks box-shaped, non-natural, marking for diver sweep. Divers entered soon after, tethered with surface radios. At 5:09 p.m., one called out, "Got something. Container, shallow burial. It's a locker. School style." Microcliff number 1. The locker was fully submerged, weighted with cinder blocks. Its number plate had corroded, but a faint stamp was still legible. They're 24. One locker away from the one Mia's backpack had been in. Inside, a trash bag sealed with duct tape, a soaked spiral notebook, and one more zip tie, looped and cut, stained with something brown. The notebook was partially salvageable. Pages bled ink, but 2 lines survived. She said she saw me. Had to move her. Should have locked both. Back at the surface, the bag was handled under full forensic procedure. It contained scraps of child-size clothing, water-damaged and faded, including a pink tank top with star print trim, consistent with what Mia was last seen wearing. No remains, no direct sign of Mia herself. Microcliff number 2. Dive team sonar, then scanned a depression in the lake bed 12 feet from the locker, a pocket roughly human-sized. Nothing inside, just absence, outlined in silt. This was a recovery site, but not yet a resolution. Call to action, Murder 3. If you'd keep searching until the truth has nowhere left to hide, comment, "Don't stop." As light faded from the lake surface and divers reeled in their lines, the ROV made one final sweep. Cliffhanger. It captured a fragment of a child's drawing, laminated, water-warped, caught on a root. 2 stick figures stood beneath a sun. One was labeled M, the other, Mr. L. May 29, 2015. Day 7. The evidence from Burnt Cedar Quarry was laid out on a sterile table under halogen lights. One small drawing, clinging to life through lamination, a crumpled pink tank top, a severed zip tie, a drowned locker, and a notebook. 2 sentences, still readable. She said she saw me. Had to move her. Should have locked both. The implications were obvious. There had been 2 lockers, 2 hiding places. One had held Mia's belongings. The other, locker number 24, had been removed, sealed in concrete blocks, and dumped in a forgotten lake. The laminated drawing bore stick figures, one large, one small, a sun, a red heart. The larger figure was labeled Mr. L. No last name, no face, just implication. Back in Elmhurst, the DNA results from the quarry zip tie came through. Same male donor, same one as the other 2 ties, the backpack and the motel room frog. But then came the call that cracked everything open. Microcliff number 1. A private lab, using familial YSTR mapping, found a confirmed match. Brian Linwood, younger brother of Greg. Same paternal line. His DNA profile had never entered CODIS, but his military service had placed a sample in a restricted federal archive. He had served 2 years in logistics. Dishonorably discharged. Last known address, the condemned house near the quarry. Deputies returned to that property. Behind the house, buried in dry leaves and plywood, they found a storm shelter welded shut. When opened, it contained an old workbench, a plastic jug of acetone, and 2 school-issued science fair banners from 2013 and 2015. Both featured photos of volunteers. In the background of one, Brian Linwood, unregistered, untagged, and wearing Greg's lanyard. He'd been at the fair that night. No one had noticed. Microcliff number 2. Inside a drawer beneath the bench, 2 receipts. One for a pair of size 11 wide-fit Skechers, SK5942 BLK, purchased in 2013. the same tread found outside the auxiliary gym. The second, a dated rental invoice for a bolt cutter, the padlock, the footprint, the zip ties, the badge, all him. He had the access, he had the proximity, and now he had the motive. Investigators publicly named Brian Linwood a person of interest. Greg Linwood, under mounting pressure, issued a statement through his attorney. I had no knowledge of my brother's involvement. I haven't spoken to him in years. I am cooperating fully. The town no longer believed him. Microcliff number 3. At 9:47 p.m., a resident of Terre Haute called in a tip. He claimed to have seen Brian, or someone who looked just like him, outside a closed school building 3 days prior. He had written down part of the license plate, LND 3157. That plate traced to a white 2004 Ford Ranger registered to an expired P.O. box under B. Linwood. A bolo, be on the lookout, was issued statewide. Cliffhanger. At 11:02 p.m., a motion sensor trail cam near Lake Monroe captured a blurry image of a man fitting Brian Linwood's description, walking alone near the shoreline. Behind him, a small tent. In his hand, a child's flashlight, glowing green. The final break came quietly. On the morning of May 30th, 2015, a tactical team descended on the north shoreline of Lake Monroe, following the blurry trail cam photo captured hours earlier. The image showed a man with Linwood's profile, holding a green flashlight, walking from a tent just beyond the tree line. By 6:14 a.m., officers surrounded the clearing. The tent was empty, still warm inside. A camp stove, half-used instant noodles, and a single backpack were left behind. In the outer mesh pocket, Mia Caldwell's missing library book, warped by moisture but legible. The Secret Garden. Microcliff number 1. Inside the pack, wrapped in a shirt, was a burner phone with 2 texts still unsent. One read, I never meant for it to go that far. The second, tell Greg I'm sorry. Footprints led to the lake's edge. Dive teams were activated again. They searched for hours, but found nothing. At 2:48 p.m., just over a mile from the tent, a civilian fisherman flagged down authorities after spotting a man half submerged in the reeds, barely moving. Officers approached carefully. It was Brian Linwood. He didn't resist. He was soaked, hypothermic, and dazed. In his pocket, a rusted science fair volunteer lanyard. No ID, no weapon. He said only 4 words. She was still breathing. Confirmation in press. By June 1st, the FBI confirmed what the town already knew. The DNA trail across every scene, the zip ties, the locker, the motel, all matched Brian Linwood. The emotional press conference was held the next morning. Sheriff Daniels faced the cameras at 10 a.m., flanked by Mia's parents, tearful and silent. We have identified the suspect responsible for the disappearance of Mia Caldwell, Daniels said. We are awaiting further evidence for a full recovery, but this case is no longer cold. Mia's mother clutched her daughter's frog keychain during the statement. Her father spoke last. We prayed for answers. We got them. Now we pray for peace. No formal murder charge was filed, because Mia's body was never found. Brian Linwood was charged with kidnapping, unlawful confinement, and obstruction of justice. His brother, Greg, was cleared of criminal involvement, but resigned from his teaching position and left the state soon after. Microcliff number 2. In a letter written from jail, Brian said, I didn't mean to keep her. I meant to return her, but I locked the door and I lost the key. No trial date was ever set. Brian Linwood died by suicide in custody 4 months later. Reflection and legacy. Willow Creek Elementary installed a memorial bench near the fairground lot. A plaque reads, In memory of the light we lost and the truth we found too late. The auxiliary gym was torn down that fall. Mia Caldwell was never found, but her story changed the way the county handled event security, volunteer vetting, and school access logs. Her name is spoken every spring at the new Student Safety Assembly, and every May, someone still leaves a glow stick at the fence where she vanished. Final CTA. Share this story to keep her memory alive. Someone always knows. and silence is never the end.